Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lena Lai.
And I'm Will Ujek. It's been an unusual sight along the shores of Lake Erie these past several days after hundreds of dead fish showed up east of Cleveland. Now the question is, why did it happen and should we be concerned?
While many were planning to head to the lake to enjoy the holiday weekend, those on the east side were welcomed by a bit of a surprise.
It was inescapable in some areas to notice, just lots of dead fish.
And a smelly one at that.
Also accompanying that in some cases was a really strong, what they often describe as a natural gas odor.
Mike Durkalec, an aquatic biologist with Cleveland Metroparks, says this can occur from time to time in Lake Erie in late summer when algae and other organic matter decompose, using up all the oxygen. It's called a dead zone.
What happens is when you have just the perfect storm of wind and current patterns, that water can well up or come up along the shoreline where it brings those accompanying strong methane odors and in some cases lots of dead fish as well.
This particular upwelling brought debris to a 25-mile stretch of shoreline from East Lake to Perry. Most of the fish killed by the lack of oxygen were sheephead or freshwater drum, with minimal effect to walleye and perch, which is good news. The other silver lining?
Other than aesthetics, there really is no notable danger to people. Unlike when you have a really strong blue-green algae bloom, it can cause a rash and sometimes can affect people.
Durkalec also says the issue, fortunately, should be short-lived.
I would expect that dead fish will remain and maybe some new ones will show up throughout the month of September. But I would venture a guess that by October this is going to be said and done for the year.
Now they are asking if you see any substantial amounts of dead fish outside that 25-mile section from East Lake to Perry that you call the Division of Wildlife to report it. Meteorologist Matt Winch joins us now. Matt, he was talking about the perfect storm for that upwelling.
Right.
Ida come into play there, or what was that perfect storm?
Yeah, so it was a wind event we had earlier this week. It was Tuesday and Wednesday. It's when Ida rolled through, Will. We saw the gusty north-northeast wind. A lot of us inland didn't feel that wind. It really wasn't that gusty, but you got out towards the lake, we had waves that were kicking. So in terms of the upwelling, completely natural process. We haven't seen strong winds over the lake in a while, so this is kind of what caused it. We had the strong north-northeast wind. When you have that strong wind, it moves the water, right? That's what causes the waves. So when the water moves, you have to replace the water that's moved. So that brings up water from way under on the deep. So basically that bottom water comes up. That bottom water is cold, and it's much colder. And I just took a look at the current lake temperatures at the surface right now. We've got 70s across almost all of the lake. There's this big pocket of 50s and 60s. Even some 40s in there in terms of the surface water. So that's what caused all that cold, nutrient-dense water to come up. So the water comes up from down below. It's very nutrient-dense because remember, all the plants and sediment kind of falls on that. It's less oxygenated, so there's not much oxygen for those fish, and it's also much, much colder. So big temperature change, that's likely what caused it, Lena. Very interesting, happens very often, a couple times a year on Lake Erie when you get those big wind events, especially in the end of summer.
Hey, thanks,
I hope that helps. I know. It's not weather, but you know what? Hey, we try.
Thank you for this science lesson. We appreciate it. Thanks.